Kia is on the attack. As if launching EVs left, right and centre wasn't enough, it's now about to take on the VW Golf on home turf. Big challenge.
This is the K4. Not to be confused with the electric EV4, the K4 is a petrol-only variant built in Mexico, already available to buy in many parts of the world and recently confirmed for sale in the United Kingdom. And it's here where the exit of the popular Ford Focus means there's plenty of potential customers for Kia to mop up, especially as the K4 is priced from just £25,995.
And when you consider that the vast majority of UK car buyers start with looks and then work their way back from there, the K4 is in a really good place. I'm not going to say that it's a pretty car, but it certainly doesn't blend in with the crowd. It actually looks quite individual, and although we're not going to get the saloon version like we have here in the UK, that'll be hatch only, you still get some of the really nice design details. And we'll start with the front lights. So you can see the DRLs have an almost perpendicular pattern, and that looks super distinctive when you see that coming up behind you. You've also got the new Kia badge on the bonnet and this chrome strip which tastefully connects those lights, and it also forms the front of the Tiger nose grille. Looks really smart. Work your way down the side and we've got 18-inch alloy wheels. So in the UK, specs are still to be confirmed, but these are the kind of wheels that you'll probably get with the GT line car, around that level of trim. And then working your way further down, nice chrome on the wing mirrors. You've also got the door handle that's integrated into the rear door here. And then, I know I said that the saloon isn't coming to the UK, but I've got to mention it because I think for this price point, under £30,000, this has to be one of the most distinctive bits of design you will find anywhere. And I tell you what, it looks a lot better in the flesh than it does in the pics. In some of the pictures that I'd seen before coming here, it looks a bit frumpy, a bit too large maybe, but actually now it's really quite angular and muscular, and it stands out. Yeah, I like it.
The K4's design isn't just an optical illusion, it really will be larger than the Kia Ceed that it will essentially replace in the UK. That's because the K4 will, confusingly, sit on Kia's K3 platform that's shared with Hyundai and also forms the base of the Niro and Hyundai Kona, and is noticeably larger than the Ceed's K2 platform.
It's also set up to deliver a lot more tech. So climb into this fairly high-spec GT line car, and like most modern cars, you've got a lot of screens. So we've got a 12.3-inch digital dash, a 12.3-inch central infotainment screen, and a 5-inch climate display. And I've heard that you can actually not quite see the full climate display because the wheel gets in the way. And although there's a little bit that's chopped off the side, what you can see and what's important is the temperatures in the top left and the top right, and also the buttons for the defrosting on the front window and also on the back, and the recirculation for the air conditioning, which are the important ones. But what's crucial as well is that you still get proper buttons in here. And when I say proper buttons, I mean it. They really feel like very buttony buttons. There's a really nice sensitive press to them, and they're nice and satisfying to use, and you can change the climate without having to go into the touchscreen or take your eyes off the road, which is excellent. You've also got proper buttons and dials on the steering wheel, so just like the buttons down here, they're nice and big, they're well labelled, it's got a nice action to them. Gear shift paddles are of a good quality as well, they make a nice click when you pull them, and the drive mode selector, I think this is a really good place to put it, it's down here just below the center of the wheel, and it reminds me of the Octa button on the Land Rover Defender Octa, which we reviewed recently. Take a look at that. So yeah, you can switch that between your normal and your sport modes. There's not a billion drive modes in this, it's really straightforward. And also, as a design point, I like the way that you've got the Kia logo slightly offset from the middle. That looks really smart. I'd say my main complaint, though, about the steering wheel is it's a little bit chunky. It's kind of BMW M car chunky, which is a bit of a shame. I'd like to see it a little bit thinner, but otherwise, yeah, really nice.
The K4 is on sale in the UK with 3 trim levels, namely Pure, GT Line and GT Line S. And even the base Pure spec gets the triple screen layout in the cabin. The infotainment is solid, easy to use, and has enough features to keep you happy.
So as you can tell, I reckon Kia's got a really nice balance between the amount of touch screens in here and also the physical controls. But one thing that really stands out, literally, is this gear lever. You do not see a gear lever this big and chunky in 2025 anymore. It's either buttons or just a little switch that you toggle with your fingertips. But this thing, I mean, I haven't had it confirmed that it's coming to the UK, but as far as I know, it is. This thing's huge, and I think a lot of people will really appreciate having something so physical and almost old school in the car. I mean, yeah, let us know. What do you think of it? One thing it does do is take away storage space. So usually there'd be a bit more space around this area, but you've still got cup holders which can retract away, so you get a larger area there. And you can actually put a bottle in there too. There's a wireless charging pad up here for your phone. There's good space under the armrest. Door pockets, maybe they could be a bit bigger, but they're still a decent size. And also there's the glove box on there, which you can see there's plenty of space there. So overall, yeah, you're not short of storage space, even with the big gear lever. Finally, the driving position, I think it's pretty good. The seat goes nice and low if that's what you want, so it feels like the bonnet is quite high and it's quite a sporty driving position, or you can lift it higher up, and in which case you get better visibility. The A-pillars aren't too big, so you've got a good view out, and also looking over your shoulder, there's various bits of glass house back there, which mean that in this saloon, you can see what's around you quite well indeed. As I said, the steering wheel could be a little bit thinner, but otherwise, yeah, nice place to sit.
Now, before I talk about practicality, I'm just going to briefly expand on the standard equipment levels. Because in addition to the triple screens in the front of the cabin, all cars get climate control, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, rear parking sensors, a reversing camera, cruise control, and a suite of active safety tech. Now, onto the practicality.
So climbing the back of the K4, and first thing I notice is I've got plenty of legroom, and I think that's because the wheelbase is about 30 millimeters longer than it is on the Seed, so you can feel the difference there. I also like the seats that are in front of you because they actually look quite small, and it means that you've got a nice view out and it feels a bit more spacious and airy in here, so that's an unexpected nice touch. I would like to see a bit more space under said seat for my feet, but it's not the end of the world. In the middle here, we've got the vents, we've got USB-C points, there's 2 of those, and I believe on higher spec cars, you'll also get heated seat controls, which will be nice in the winter. There is a central tunnel because this is a petrol car, so you've got to bear that in mind. There's a cup holder down here, so you can put your beverages in there. And then headroom, well, it's a bit of an unfair test for the UK market because this is the saloon, and it means that that sloping roof line gives you less space, and yet I am brushing the ceiling here, but with the hatch, I reckon it'll be a lot better. So overall, good, strong practicality back here.
Also, boot space in the hatch is 438 litres with the seats in place and 1,217 litres with them folded down. However, if you get the mild hybrid powertrain, this drops to 328 litres seats in place and 1,107 litres seats folded down. Without the mild hybrid, that's better than both the VW Golf and the outgoing Ford Focus.
Now, some people might tell you that it doesn't matter how a car like this drives, and there's probably a degree of truth in that, but I don't think Kia is simply relying on it, because actually the K4 is pretty good fun.
First thing I want to talk about is the engine. Now, you can get the K4 with a 1 litre petrol with mild hybrid assistance, and that produces 113 brake horsepower. However, the one we've got here is a 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol that makes 147 brake horsepower. You can also get it with 177 brake horsepower, but I think this version is perfectly good.
It's keen, it doesn't mind revving, it's got plenty of urgency about it. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but it does what it needs to do. And also, once you do settle down, it's pretty refined. There is a bit of an engine roar when you accelerate hard, but from the outside, I think it sounds pretty good. And although the dual clutch gearbox, it's not as good as the DSG in a Golf. Again, 90% of scenarios, you're not really going to feel a difference. It's mainly when you use the paddles to override that it's just not quite as snappy. One of the nice things about testing a car here in America is that when we drive cars that we haven't got in the UK yet, in Europe, so in France and Spain and Austria, Switzerland, the road surfaces are really, really good. They're dead smooth, and it means that you kind of have to really find some little bumps in the road to see what the ride comfort's going to be like, because in the UK, roads aren't great. But over here, yeah, the road surface is also pretty terrible, so it means that I can reliably say that the ride in this, I think, is good. Yeah, you'll feel some of the bigger bumps because you've got the low profile tyres. Oh, yeah. For the most part, it's really nice and settled. It doesn't move around too much. You've got a decent secondary ride, and the refinement also, not too much wind noise. As I said, the engine noise when you're under power could be a bit better, but otherwise,
the steering is light, but there's still some feel. It's direct without being overly sensitive, and there's also an uncorrupted enthusiasm to the way the front end changes direction. Again, it ain't a sports car, but it does more than enough for an everyday hatchback, or saloon in this case.
I think if you're talking about long distance refinement, the VW Golf still has the edge because it does a really clever trick where if you're going hundreds of miles and you're on high-speed roads, it starts to feel like a bigger, heavier car, and then when you get back into town, it feels smaller and lighter again. Whereas with this, it always feels like more of a town car. It feels a bit lighter. It doesn't feel quite as suited to long-distance travel, but still, it's about 80–85% of the way there. It's not a huge difference. On the whole, the tech in this car works really well when you're on the move. I'm still a big fan of the physical climate control buttons. I know I've talked about it before, but in 2025, it's a treat. You don't have to go into the touchscreen to change how warm or cold you are, so that's excellent. But I'm also a really big fan of the fact that in this car, you don't need to look over your shoulder to check your blind spot. So if I indicate now to move into the lane on the right, what I've got is a camera view in the digital dash, and that's from a camera on the door mirror looking back, and that shows me if it's clear. So my blind spot is completely covered without having to do the full look over your shoulder, which obviously means you're not looking forward. So that's a really clever use of technology, which, to be honest, I think I've only seen in Hyundais and Kias, and now it's on just a regular hatchback, which is excellent to see.
So, what's the verdict? Well, the Kia K4 isn't going to be the most exciting car that you or I will probably drive this year, and also, it's not going to start off as your default choice for an everyday hatchback. The VW Golf still has that crown simply because people buy what they know and recognise. But then, that doesn't mean you shouldn't look seriously at the Kia K4. Quite the opposite. At £26,000, it's significantly cheaper than the Golf, plus you'll get more standard equipment and a 7-year warranty. It's not quite as polished in some areas, but given the starting price, that's easily forgivable. What's more, it's also nice to see an affordable, practical new model that isn't electric, given EVs aren't suitable for everyone at this moment in time. For my money, the GT line model with the non-hybrid 1.6-litre turbo is the pick of the bunch.